With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond is a podcast that gives everyone and anyone a place to come and keep it real about their cancer experience. Welcome to Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond.
Hey everyone, we are back with another amazing episode of Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. The only thing that is not amazing on this particular episode is the audio. So here's what we did. I had one of my big bright ideas and decided I'm going to go live on TikTok for the very first time and record a show at the same time. So if you've listened to the episode with metastatic patient Michelle, this is the second part of that. So what happened is Chris and I had a conversation with Michelle while we recorded on our equipment live. Went fantastic. We aired that half of the episode. But then Milton Jones, our favorite therapist, joined us after hours, I say. In other words, after we quit recording on our equipment. So the audio you're about to hear is what Chris pulled off of our TikTok video. So our side of it isn't great. Milton sounds like a pro. But bear with us. We'll get it right next time. This is a great conversation on trauma and cancer. Enjoy.
I want to backtrack and tell Milton the story about the child's imagination.
Yes.
We had our Survivor Social on Saturday, which you know is our monthly group. And
Right.
one of our newest members is a social worker. And she
Sure.
has small kids. And she was saying that we were talking about if you tell your kids about your cancer and what is age appropriate to share with them, or do you just automatically do the parent default and try to keep it regular and normal for them, right? So she was saying the importance of telling them age appropriately is because think about, like Michelle and I were talking about, you know, the night before you have your first chemo or your mastectomy or whatever major surgery you're having. Your
Sure.
mind as an adult, knowing all the facts, goes through all the what ifs and all the stories, right? So
Right.
a kid's imagination is like 100 times worse.
Sure.
So if you don't tell them anything, you're leaving them out there to create all these stories, right? So how do you feel about that?
Man, okay. I'll say this, and I think I said it earlier in the live, on my live. If you set your kid up to believe that people don't argue, then they're at a disadvantage when they enter the world of chaos in the world itself in society. So you have to be really careful to, in my opinion, to make sure that, because so the other what if is that what if you didn't come home from that surgery? But you never
That's
set them,
right.
and then all of a sudden they're like, mommy or daddy's not coming home, and this is the reason why. And they're like,
Mhm.
what do you mean? So you have to be really careful. Is there a right way to do it? Ah, I don't know that there's a right way, but I know there's a way to do it. And so you're going to have to do it as best you can as the person who's suffering, who's been diagnosed, is that it will be your responsibility to make sure your kid is aware in the best way possible.
Yeah, like Fabiola said, age appropriate, which, yeah,
Age appropriate.
absolutely.
Exactly. It's hard because you're making these decisions, and think about it. I mean, we are talking about cancer, but let's process divorce and
Anything traumatic, right?
anything. Exactly. So, and I guess Carrie, I guess you can answer some of that. What did you do? What what did you do to let your kids know that there were things that you were battling, and how did you do that?
Well, my daughters were in seventh grade and 10th grade. So they were old enough that I could tell them, yes, I
Sure.
have breast cancer and it's going to, you know, be probably another year of surgeries and chemo and radiation. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And it's going to look worse before it gets better. But we got this, right? And I didn't
Right.
say I'm for sure going to live or anything like that. I made sure I didn't make any extreme statements. I just said we're
Right.
going to take it day by day and I will keep you posted.
Sure.
And I did. Now, with that said, and my son was in the Air Force, so he was in Korea and he
Okay.
was 23. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to tell him through Facebook because we didn't have cell phones
Mm.
that we could communicate or anything like that. And so I had to send him a message.
Sure.
Thankfully, he was aware that I was having biopsy, so he knew I was waiting for results. I didn't just shock him. But
Right.
when I told him, I just said, he had just got to Korea and he was going to do a year there. And then from there, he was going to go to his dream destination, which was Japan.
Okay.
And I felt horrible because my doctor was like, your son needs to come home. And I was like, what do you mean he needs to come home? Like, I'm going to die? Like, what? She's like,
Right.
oh, no, but you're going to want him here for that. And me being, I was 18 when I had him, and he finally got free from me and was out going to make his life as a man and, get his education for free through the military and all this stuff. And I just felt horrible guilt. I still do. We probably need
Mm-hmm.
a session on that. About
Right.
he got sent back stateside so that he could finish out his enlistment at that time and be closer to me, which was about 4 hours away, so he could come for chemo week, and be there to help with the
Right.
girls and to help me whatever I needed to do. But he never got to go to that dream destination. He never
Mm.
got to go to Japan. And so,
Okay.
and now of course he's married. He has three little kids under, 5. And,
Right.
but I always think to myself, man, let me hit the lottery or something. I let the kids get older where they could
Mm-hmm.
stay with me for a week so he could go to
Right.
Japan because I feel like I robbed him of that.
Okay.
That's another
Yeah.
show. That's another show. But
Yeah.
I will say with the girls, but I will say with the girls, I wish I had told them the days that were bad instead of being this tough chick that, like, try
Mm-hmm.
to put out a
Right.
man, right? I
Right.
wish I had said to them, today I'm a little bit scared, but I'll get
Mm-hmm.
through it. I wish I had said to them, today I feel like shit,
Mm-hmm.
or today I'm in pain, something.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It's
didn't.
it's funny that you say that. We tend to pass on that stuff when we're adults, and we say, "Well, my mom or my dad didn't complain; he sucked it up," and blah blah blah. And we put this standard on people when then you talk to your mom or your dad, and they're like, "Man, that shit hurt. I don't even know why I didn't tell you." Like
Yeah,
it's those things, and so I love that you're processing on the back end, saying you wish you had, and hopefully there's one day that you'll be able to share that with them so they know that, you know what, mommy did this, but she didn't share the truth, and I know the truth now. And it's okay to say, it's tough today. It's okay to say this is hard today. It's okay to say, that chemo kicked my butt today, right?
right, right, right.
People are more verbal about how they feel, which is why I kind of do what I've kind of done. You guys have had a chance to kind of witness some of that because society has painted this picture that I got to suck it up and
Mm-hmm.
that I can't feel pain. And as a man, the machismo, like I got to be like, and
Right,
they've a
right,
lot of that onto women as well. And so
right.
it's unfortunate that it looks that way, but it'll be us to change that narrative,
Mm-hmm.
that it isn't all perfect. And I may be smiling, but I'm hurting. I'm having a rough time here. So
Right.
I
That's
think
a good
it's
point.
it's great that you're sharing it today, and
Yeah,
hopefully the followers and the people that are listening today can appreciate that and maybe start to change their own narrative.
right. I don't know why. Oh, it's kicking me out. I'm trying to read the
Yeah,
comments,
because I'm
guys. I
banned
can't.
from the room.
Oh, because there's too many devices logged in on me. That's okay. Well, you guys read the comment. No, you guys read the comment. I can't see shit right now. I think that's important. I think somebody, I started to read a comment that said, "Don't let that be a burden to me." Um, I, I that was probably Trisha too. I bet too, with her big heart. I will say I don't let it be a burden to me, and I don't live with that guilt daily. But it is something that I recently, like, it surfaced for me because just a couple weeks ago, I started writing about my cancer experience because I was doing this speaking engagement, and I've told my story before, bits and pieces, but never from start to finish. And so
Right.
I didn't know how to prep for. I really didn't prep. I was like, oh, I got this speech I got to do in a couple of days. My therapist said you might want to get ready for that. So what I did is I just started writing, like from my first memory of being diagnosed or finding the tumor and through it. And as I got to that section where Anthony had to be brought back, I had this like gut wrenching, like, oh, I don't want to cry. I had this like gut wrenching feeling like, oh my God, I owe him a trip. Now I know he doesn't feel that way, but in my mind, I was like, that kid needs to go to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that here I am 10 years later, and I'm just now starting to have these moments where it's like, oh my God, I need to go talk to my daughter. Oh my God, I need to go talk to them. Because
Right.
in that moment, I was just in survival mode.
Right. Getting through the day.
Yeah.
For me, it was a lot of getting through the next hour without completely losing my mind, freaking out about everything. One thing Fabiola said, and that I think rings true, is that I think kids are more resilient than we give them credit for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can say my son, being young, and we're trying to find him a support group for kids with parents who have cancer, and then I just found him this great camp that I signed him up for. But he just tells me, he's like, okay, Mom, let's get through it. This next day, maybe we're sleeping on the bathroom floor because we're puking, whatever the case may be, and he's just powering through, and I'm over there like a wreck, thinking, I'm losing it in front of my kids. What do you say to that?
Well, it's. I mean, of course, it's situational, but it's just hard because how do you not feel guilty, right? When you're, you said it best when you're talking about the household, or he's on the floor with you, but how do you not feel like you've lost something, or you're taking something away from them, or even that you're not at your best and you can't do more for them. And I will say the hardest part is also being part of a society that is filled with machismo, right?
That part.
So, it's, as a man, not being able to be, or not being able to produce what like society would like you to produce, or, so, when it comes to, and I will say, and I'm saying cancer because this is the topic, but the toughest part is that there is no guarantee, there is no, it's a mending situation, I broke my ankle, and this is something that continues to leave doubt in the household, leave doubt within the family, and then leaves at the annual fear of the checkup and things like that. And so, can I be there for my family, and will I be able to be there long term?
And then you've got a case like Michelle, who's metastatic. So her cancer has spread, and she will forever be in treatment until treatment no longer works.
Right. And
so
even
no finish line. You know what I mean? There's no
right.
finish line.
Right. So it's almost like I'm running and the best way to say it is I'm running a forever marathon. And
yeah, I have a question about that actually. Do you feel like you're the turtle, or do you feel like you're the hare? Because everybody references that in their life, how fast they are, how slow they are.
I feel like it's a turtle's race. I feel like you're always
slow and steady,
going slow, and fortunately for me, it's kind of been steady. But I mean, I think it seems to take forever. I mean, I think about these last 2.5 years versus the first 40, and and I just think, wow, it
you kind of said that with an attitude. 40.
Well, I don't know, 40. That's pretty close. And so, I just think, it seems like it takes forever just to get through all that. Although I don't know that you're in a hurry.
Well, then also, honestly, it is forever.
Yeah.
But you know what I was going to say is, I think for me, in retrospect now, I think the importance of showing your kids that you're having that bad day or you're scared in that moment or you're angry even, it gives them permission to then express their feelings when they're having a tough day so that they're not in the back room doing something they shouldn't be doing trying to cope, right?
Right.
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 It gives
Right.
them permission and we know as grown-ups now there was a pivotal moment in our time in our lives where we looked at our own parents and realized, oh, they're just people. They're really not like on this pedestal, right? If you haven't, you should because they're just human and they
Yeah.
have bad days and they have good days. And I think if there's a positive spin, it's being able to show them, like with Chris and having, his mental health, issues and the kids knowing like, okay, dad's having a rough time, but guess what? He's taking action. He's
Mm-hmm.
getting help, and now look at him, and we're all surrounding him. That is so priceless.
Yeah, they took care of me.
They
They're
did.
Like, Daddy, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Thing.
Yeah, yeah, but I think
And
that's important.
it's huge when it comes to, and I going back to the mental health, there's a misunderstanding with mental health that, for one, if I hide it, then nobody knows and I can't be judged. But the problem is that when I have my moment, everybody's wondering what's wrong.
Right.
What's wrong with Daddy? What's wrong with Chris? He's tripping at work today. Whatever those reasons are. And unfortunately, you have to find that safe place, especially within your family, because it's not anything against them, but unfortunately, my mental health will look like it's something that's against them,
Yes.
right? Unless I explain it. Daddy's just having a rough day, or babe, I'm struggling today. My anxiety is high. It's got nothing to do with you. It may come off like it's got something to do with you. I promise it's me, not you. And
I
explaining
had
that
to
is
have that conversation. I had to have that when I was on medication after I
Mhm.
finished treatment, and I was supposed to be all normal now, right? And they put
Right,
me on these
right.
estrogen
You were stable.
blockers.
You were stable.
I was stable. But what happened is they put me on this medication to hopefully keep the cancer from recurring, and I know it works for many people. For me, it left me in a debilitating state of pain to where I couldn't function. It
Mhm.
also made me like a crazy lady, like literally
Mm.
crazy. And I remember being on tamoxifen and telling my oncologist, okay, check this out. And I love her. Like we're friends. She sends me patients
Right.
to the care project. And I said to her, here's the thing, Dr. Ruby. In this moment, as much as I love you, I could choke you out and not feel bad. And she laughed. She's like, oh, you're so crazy. I was like, yeah,
Stand over your
uh,
body.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing right now. Like I could choke you out right now. And she kind of looked at me and she was like, oh, she's
all
like,
like-
that's the medication. And I was like, she was like, I can give you something to combat that. I was like, no, I'm not taking anything else. And that's when I went off and I had the total
Right.
hysterectomy because what I had to do was tell my girls, 13 and 16, you do the math and the attitude. I looked at them and I said, I got to sit you down. I got to tell you something. You know how I'm taking these pills and they're supposed to keep it from coming back? I was like, here's the thing. There are some mornings where I wake up enraged, like enraged. I woke up, I opened my eyes and I'm like, Arr! And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't stand myself.
Who is this?
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, you know what?
We should get some of that and join the USFL. Come on, let's go.
Chris is always trying to get paid. But you know what? I had to look at them and I said, here's what we're going to do. Because I was biting their heads off. And then I was telling them, like you just said, it's not you. It's not me. It's the medication. They were like, please stop taking this shit, But what I said is, but it's supposed to keep it from coming back. And, everyone was guilting me. Well, you have kids and da-da-da. I said,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I had to tell the girls, here's what we're going to do. On the days where I wake up and I feel like that, I'm going to say to you, today is not a good day. And then that's your safe word, correct? And I said, I'm going to stay in my room. I'm going to stay in my room, and you guys have my because I was I used to cook for them every night, and I was like, that is your get out of jail free card. You can eat cereal all day. You can make sandwiches all day. Don't fuck with me. Today is not a good day, and it has nothing to do with you. And I love you, but I'm going to keep myself on timeout. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, I'm not on those hormone blockers. So, I mean, I had a complete hysterectomy when I was 46.
Okay.
But, and then I went through menopause pre-cancer.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I use a lot of
Yay,
weed.
menopause.
I use a lot of weed, too.
I know you do. I know you do.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There could be that.
That could maybe I should have been doing that.
So, Michelle, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, Chris asked a good question, the tortoise or the hare. How do you compartmentalize your future from your current day? How do you not worry about 5 years from now and your son and things like that? How do you cope with that?
I think that we were talking about this before you came on. So a gift that cancer gave me was my appreciation for every day. Living life to the fullest, not grinding in a 9 to 5 just in order to get by. So I will say that
Right.
I take every day as this is going to be a day where I can have a positive influence in the world, or I can plant. I do a lot of gardening, and so even planting plants and how that's going to bring to the earth
Mhm.
different things. So I just live every day as if there may not be another one. So that's where I'm saying I'm kind of like the turtle, because I don't jump ahead. I don't think 5 years down
You're
the line.
present.
Yeah.
You're in the moment. You're
Right.
present, and like we've said all the time, like on the show, like I live, I work, I love, I dismiss people with a sense of urgency because I don't have time to sit around. I
Right.
feel like I'm on borrowed time, right? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm on borrowed time, and I feel like everybody should feel like that because
Mm-hmm.
it puts things in perspective and it really causes you to slow down. Michelle was sharing when we were recording before you got on that, before her diagnosis, she was on the road for her job. Her husband was stay-at-home dad doing the dad thing while she was out on the road and never home. And now that she's home and in treatment for the rest of her life, she's learning to cook. She's
Okay.
gardening. She's taking her
Yeah.
son to school. She's doing all these things where I feel like all those simple. I always post about that on Instagram. Like I wake up and I go sit in my cabana and I look at just the pool water, my old 1960 pool, right, with the jacked up look. It's not some ultra modern, but it's like beautiful to me. And I know people get sick of me, but I'm like, I'm posting every summer, every day, my pool, whether you like it or not, because I'm so grateful, right, for every little day that we get to experience, even just being here.
Yeah.
Like it sucks that you couldn't have chemo because your liver enzymes are out of whack, but this has been a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, just meeting you face to face on Saturday after we knew each other for like almost a year.
Right.
But yeah, I think, and Milton, I think one of the things that's put me at a disadvantage is a lot of other moms I talk to have created these boxes with, cards and keepsakes and notes. I haven't done any of that, right? I'm like, no, I'm going to pour every lesson you need to learn in life into
Right
you
now.
in the
Yeah,
next
right.
2 years.
Right.
And you're never going to make any mistakes. But, I'm just like, I don't take time to do that because I would rather be pouring into him, and we would rather be at the beach, having
Yeah.
fun, eating good food.
Living life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We say that
Yeah.
all the time, right? Like Lavetta has been on the show several times, and she always talks about living life to the fullest,
Yeah.
always,
And I
like
always ask
every
that,
day.
are you living or are you existing? So
Yeah, we were talking about that before you got here.
we
Yeah, no,
we
Lavetta does what she wants, and it's awesome to hear her talk about it.
I'm gonna take her to meet Milton one day. Yeah, because she's getting her master's in social work. So,
She's awesome.
We did have a question back a little while ago. What does someone do who doesn't have a lot of support around them? What can they do to help
what?
ground themselves
Oh.
or to feel normalized?
Well, I will tell you, I didn't have a lot of support. I was pretty estranged from the main characters in my family, um, which is why I started the Care Project. So now I know if my cancer ever comes back, I have a plethora of support. Like I'm going to have DJ at the door being bouncer and Chris letting people on the guest list to come see me because I had nobody.
Yeah.
And the boyfriend that I had at the time left the day I came home from my mastectomy. I had my mastectomy on February 13th. I hate Valentine's Day. I came home on Valentine's Day, and he came over to see me, and he was like a nervous Gertie, I say. He just couldn't like sit still. He was like all this, and I was cool. I was on morphine or whatever, and I was like, I'm good, like I'm straight. And I looked at him, and I was like, check this out. My mom was there, my dad was there, and that was already triggering. My dad came down for my mastectomy. He lived 500 miles away. I'm like, Dad, can you come like for chemo? Like, I'm having a boob cut off. Why do you have to come right now? Well, I need to do something. He came down and acted like a dad. He paid bills. He took my kids shopping, all the great granddad things. But my boyfriend at the time, I told him, I said, I need you to go home and get your shit together because I'm cool. Like, I'm at peace. I need you to be a calming force or get out. And he was like, okay, you're right. I'm going to go home. I'm going to get it together. I never saw him again.
I was going to say, he never came back, right?
He never came back. He couldn't handle it. And that's okay. He couldn't handle it. But
that's gnarly. I mean, at least.
But I think to answer the question, maybe it's not answering the question, but just to tell you what I did is it caused me to really focus on myself. And I had to dig even deeper than I ever thought. And I'm not going to say pull myself up because that's so cliche. I mean, that's obvious. You're going to do that. Just like the whole, just stay positive. I got to say that with an attitude.
That's going to be on the back of the shirt.
Positivity. Toxic positivity. I mean, we try to do that.
Be grateful you're here.
Well, here's the thing is when you were diagnosed, you still had kids. So you weren't thinking about yourself anyway.
No, you're in fight or flight, right, Milton?
Well, you're just a good parent. You're just doing everything. You're like, okay, well, they're going to eat. I'm good.
Yeah, but I mean, I literally, let me just be honest. Before cancer, I was living in survival mode. And so it prepped me for this. And so it's a different kind of story, right? But that's a whole other episode. But
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. What you just said, that probably changed the outcome of your experience because you were already in survival mode. So you just went from one experience to another, continuing to survive. I think a lot of times we don't realize how much our prior life sets us up for our current life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every little thing I've ever experienced, every heartache, every whatever, every trauma led me up to being diagnosed with cancer. And I don't think it caused my cancer, people. Please don't hit me with that.
And the other thing that's amazing is that on the back end, you created what you did not have.
Yes.
You created a support system for others. I tell people when I talk about becoming a therapist, I became what I didn't have. I became for others what I didn't have for myself.
That's one thing I love about you, Carrie, is I've been up late at night, and I know Carrie goes to bed early, and and we've been texting, and I'm like, wait, I'm in a crisis, and I was just needing to find resources. It's not really like a medical crisis. It's like, I need to find these resources, and she will answer the phone, and so I get it. You're there to help. I think about the mom who carries in every single bag of groceries herself, right? Mm-hmm. You're at least there to help carry the bag of groceries. That's awesome.
I do what I can do, but I know that it's been therapy for me. I started the Care Project a year after my diagnosis. I had no business starting a nonprofit. It just was my way of, I won't even say coping. I used to say it's my way of coping, but this guy's taught me differently. It wasn't my way of coping. It was my way of avoiding. But as a result, it was therapeutic for me to help others and to create this space.
Helped you understand that you weren't alone.
It did. And I think that, one of the questions I'm always asked is what's the best advice or the first advice you would give somebody newly diagnosed? And that's my first thing, is that you need to find other people who are either going through it or have been there, done that. Find good, supportive people that have been there, done that, because your people.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Can you have zero interest in something and still really want it? Your wallet would say yes. And with Simply Zero from South Carolina Federal Credit Union, you can transfer credit card balances and get 0% intro APR for 12 months. That's right, no interest all year. So you pay less and keep more. To learn more, visit scfederal.org/simplyzero. That's scfederal.org/simplyzero. Variable APR ranges from 11.74% to 17.99% thereafter. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply.
Around you that love you, whether it's your family, your friends, your cousins, whatever, your coworkers, they can mean well, but they don't know. I always say it's like the Jamaica commercial. Remember the Jamaica commercial? Once you go, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been a few times. I would say the second thing is
therapy.
The second thing is the people that aren't good for you. Like, bye.
Ooh.
Yeah. And not even if they're family members, it's not like I'm leaving you forever. She's like, I'm going to separate a little bit so I can get over here and get my dog together.
Listen, after I found out and I had to call my mom, who I was kind of estranged from, and I said, look, I called her from the payphone even. I said, look, I just need to tell you something.
Those are things that people used to put money in back in the day.
The kids on the TikTok don't know what a payphone is. They're
probably trying to explain. See, we got it right away, but she was.
But I said,
we got you.
I said to her, here's the thing. Are you sitting down? She's like, no. I'm like, sit down. So she sits down. She's like, oh, crap. I said, I have breast cancer. I need you to call my dad. Now, they were divorced, but they were friends. I said, call my dad. Then he can tell his side. You can tell your side, and you guys can tell my 3 brothers. But here's what I need you to do. Tell everybody, don't call me. I'm good. I'm with my best friend. We're going to Disneyland tomorrow. Like, hey, Carrie Madrid, you were just diagnosed with breast cancer. Now what are you going to do? Yeah. It's just, I'm going to Disneyland. I did. I went to Disneyland with new lip gloss, and I didn't care. But I had to separate myself. I had to separate. So one.
She ended up getting kicked out, too. Like Disney police.
I did not.
But I wonder if that's why marriages don't work, right? Because you can't separate. You know, I think about that all the time.
Let's ask our therapist.
But I think about my husband can't really relate to what I'm going through, no matter how hard he tries.
That's why you have to come here, and you have to talk.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, I agree. And talking to talk therapy, everything. But yeah.
Milton, we were talking earlier about. I asked Michelle if she felt like this experience strengthened her marriage. Tell them your story, how you guys were high school students.
So my husband and I went out when I was in when I was in high school. He was older, so I was.
He's robbing the cradle.
Well, he was 21 and could buy beer. So
I see your motives.
I was 17. He was 21. He could buy a beer. But we broke up when I went to college because I was college girl then.
She could buy beer.
I could buy my own beer.
Used and abused for beer.
But then we married other people, and he had kids. I didn't have kids with anyone else. And then came back together. We found each other on Facebook and got married each other 12 years ago. So, you know, I think we overcame so many odds that when it came to cancer, we were just locked arm. It wasn't anything that I had to worry about who was on my team there.
It was one of those cases that the marriage really was strengthened.
Yeah. For sure.
Because I've talked about this before with Milton, that, you know, the people that come through the care projects that are married, their marriages are either so much better and amazing. Even if they were good marriages to begin with, they're like so strengthened and just solidified. Like if there was ever any doubt, there's no doubt now. We got each other. Or they fall apart. And usually that's when the wife has sort of been very docile and sort of just accommodating to a fault. And then they all of a sudden live through this thing and they get
their warrior spirit. Yeah.
They get this, no, that shit's not going to work. And I've had people come in here and be like, I'm telling that mother, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. You didn't even tell him yet. You've been allowing this for 30 years. And now you want to have a backbone? You're going to have to ease him into that, honey. And marriages I've seen go to the brink and come back because those women, and these were just female patients that I know, realized it. Like you can't just up and say, oh, yeah, nope, I'm out. Because you've been allowing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? So what advice would you give, Milton, to couples going through cancer?
You know, the first thing is always communication. I think the hardest part is telling somebody the truth about how you feel, and that also goes with the person who is, you know, doesn't have cancer, and to share their fears, even if it sounds selfish. I'm worried about you losing this, or I'm worried about whether or not you're going to survive it. A lot of the chaos comes from the fear, is that am I going to lose this person, or, you know, what am I going to do without this person, or am I going to be able to still be attracted to this person, right? It's think about what we think about on a daily basis, and it's just regular stuff, right? We'll throw a little bit of cancer in there. Mm-hmm. Now I've got to process not only my everyday, but am I losing my soulmate? Am I losing the attributes of my soulmate? Can I handle this? Can I watch this person go through this, or can I be a part of this? And part of the guilt is coming to terms with maybe I can't. And that's even guilt, and that can create chaos and anger, right? To feel less than, or to feel like I can't support the person that supported me through whatever I went through. It's a lot. If we're just thinking about,
you know what else? You know
Go
what
ahead.
else I think about is that I know, like I have lifelong friends, like guys that are like my brothers I've known since like sixth grade. And when I was going through treatment, I really just expected them to be there, right? And they weren't. A couple of them weren't, and a couple of them were. And
Hmm.
I was so hurt, and then I got angry, right? And then I got an attitude. And then they come back around when I'm done with active treatment, like, hey, Madrid, you good? You good now, right? Back to normal, like, kick it, la, la, la. I'm like, where you been?
Right.
Where have you been? And they
Right.
were like, so one of my dear friends, I adore him. He said to me, let me be honest, I couldn't stand to see you like that. Now I've really got an attitude because I'm like, oh, you couldn't handle it.
Right.
How do you think I felt? Right?
Right.
How do you think
I got
I felt?
in the mirror. Right.
Right. I go
Right.
bald. I was the girl that grew up in the 90s with the big hair, big boobs, like
Right.
whatever. I thought I was Lisa, right?
She still owns Aquanet stock.
But so I was so mad. But what I realized through a mutual friend of his and mine that we grew up with, who's a licensed clinical social worker, is what it did is it caused him to face his own mortality. Like if this could happen to Madrid, this could happen to any of us. Just like now that we're 50, right? Like there's people that are having heart attacks, and now I'm like, oh shit, let me lose this 40 pounds because
Right. You said something with the being faced with mortality, whether it's cancer or losing a parent or things like that. All these things make us start to take stock in our day to day, in our families, in our loved ones. It is tough. That is a tough thing. And so, which is why I asked Michelle that question, because part of that is how do you not face your mortality daily based off of being metastatic and again, you're planting. I love what you said. You're planting and you're doing these things, so you're creating life in the midst of your experience, which I think is absolutely amazing. By the way, so
thank you. Well, and then Carrie and I both share the fascination with death as well.
That's why I'm studying to be a death doula. Yeah.
And hospice, all of our hospice nurse friends,
hospice nurse Julie and
yeah, I mean,
Penny
I think for a while, Milton, I even like embraced death. Like I thought I had one foot in the grave, and I told Carrie this. I when I just had this really good scan, I thought I had one foot in the grave at the time, and it was the treatment pulling me down. But I've also come to terms with this being accepting that and doing that gracefully and planning for that, that sort of thing.
You know what, Chris? I'm thinking about Lavetta.
Yeah.
How many times has Lavetta said on the show talking about being metastatic and how she was angry at first and really sad and scared, but then eventually she settled into, okay, I'm living with metastatic breast cancer. And bitch, I'm living.
She has a zen about it in an attitude way. It's awesome.
Because she's gone through she's gone through every emotion there is, right? She's been angry, she's been mad, she's been sad, she's gone into a depression, she's gone into the
now she's doing her.
Now she's like, okay, well, guess what? I have metastatic breast cancer and I'm gonna live every day to the full.
Yeah, I've gotten many a text from Carrie when she's like, yeah, no, me and Lavetta we're going to Puerto Rico. Oh, when? 4 days.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Have fun. I want to go.
Yeah, well, and it causes me to, having friends like Michelle, having friends like Lavetta, it's tough. And I've talked to Milton about this offline. It's tough, because 98% of my friends are because of cancer.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it for the world. I would not change my cancer diagnosis. It saved my life. It gave me purpose. It caused me to get to learn myself and to love myself in all my scarred glory, right? But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's still fucking hard when I have to get a call or a text from somebody like Michelle or Lavetta or Heather or Catherine. Catherine has been metastatic for like 17, 18 years. Just so you know. I'll send you that podcast link.
Yeah.
When one of them gets worse or treatment stops working or somebody passes away, it sends me reeling. So what I've learned is that I just need to be driving Chris crazy and Milton crazy and Diana crazy with my big bright ideas. I'm like, hold on, I just had a thought. And like this tonight, I mean, this has been great.
Yeah.
She keeps sending me text messages because she's worried it won't work.
I'm like, are you sure? So technically, I'm
But
blind.
yeah, no, I mean, your bright ideas make me have a good day. It's fun.
But you said earlier too that doing this show, while cancer hasn't touched your immediate life, doing the show has really caused you to live more presently and also urgently, right?
Yeah, way more urgency in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more urgency in my life for the right things, I should say.
Right.
You know, I always felt urgent that I had to get my job
Huge.
done, or I had to go do this, and I had to do this,
Right.
and I had to build this. But now the urgency shifted a little bit. So like, no, I need to make sure this happens. Take care of myself. Make sure I'm a kid. So yeah.
That self stuff, Milton.
Ooh, and that brings me to, and I clients battle with this in session quite a bit. The idea of selfishness. There's a struggle in doing for yourself. Society has all taught us to be selfless and to give your shirt or the last bite of your sandwich or whatever that is. And, you know, it is okay to be selfish at times. It is okay to, you know, to do the things for you. Because if you don't do them, there's a day that you will have regrets, and that anger will go towards the person that you felt like you sacrificed for.
Oh, sorry, I had moments.
So
true.
I don't want to have that. I don't want to have that moment where I realized that I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't take care of myself. I don't want to have that. And this podcast taught me a lot of that, you know?
Yeah.
And so there is a time in your life where you do have to look up and say, wait a minute. It doesn't mean that I love anybody less. It means that I also love myself. And I need this for me. Because there is anger and resentment that comes with not living your life for you. And if you don't live it for you, then nobody else benefits. You do have to do the things for you to make yourself happy. So your wife, your kids. Otherwise, you know, you find yourself, you look up and you say you lived it for everybody else, and now I'm pissed.
That's where I'm at, right? That's where I'm at right now, and I'm 51 years old. And it took me until I was 48, and I had a life-changing moment with a speaking engagement, and I realized, like, oh, and I still have aha moments, and I'll like text Milton or I'll share a video with him that I find. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me this? Well, because we just met. But, I mean, it's almost been, I don't know how long it's been, but I feel like I have these aha moments, and I'm like, oh my God, I get me now. Like, I know why I accepted that behavior. I know why I can't accept this. I know why I married that guy. I'm being nice. You know, like, I get it. And so now it took me to 48 to get to understand. That's why I say I would never take my cancer diagnosis back, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Well, yeah, and I hope that through our kids and other people we talk to, younger people, that they understand that earlier. And you know what they're saying down here,
and that's why we share, right?
In our comments, they're talking about living life out loud and having everything be like grandeur.
Self-care.
Yeah.
Well, that's why every Friday night now, I literally do nothing but I'll take a long leisurely shower. I might attempt to shave my legs. I might not. But I change the sheets on my bed on Friday. Like, you know, I work from home. So I'll take my sheets off. I'll put fresh sheets on my bed. I do all the just simple stuff. And I remember I texted my friend Alita one Friday night, and I said, it was a funny picture. I had my feet in a tub of water because I worked so much. I just didn't have time to go get a pedicure. So I thought, screw it. I'm going to just soak my feet. I'm blind in one eye, so I can't really paint well, but I'm just going to soak them at least, right? And I got in bed and I put lotion on my feet, and I felt like it was sounds kind of creepy to say, but if you know, you know. I sat there and I put lotion on my feet, and I thought for 10 seconds I was real salty. I was like, man should be putting lotion on my feet right now, like, you know. And then I was like, you know what? Thank God I'm able. Thank God I'm able. Thank God I own my own. Thank God I own my own home. I don't care if it's 1,100 square feet. I have my own little home.
Like, and your dog and your pool.
And my dog and my pool.
I don't put lotion on my wife's feet. I'm sorry.
You're fired. Where's that? We're gonna have Evelyn on next time.
She's fired.
But you know what? But it's just that little bit. Like, everybody around me knows. Don't ask Carrie to go to dinner on Friday night. Nope, Carrie's at home. My phone is on, but it's over there. And I'm soaking my feet, and I'm taking a real shower. I might shave my one armpit that grows hair, because that's an unknown fact. We'll go into that on another show. Huh? All those random things.
I have no hair anywhere. So.
Well, not even
in my nose.
I kind of miss being bald. It was so liberating. But really, the self-care aspect is so important. And every Friday night now, I just know I'm not making any plans. I don't care what you got going on. Don't get married. Don't have a 50th birthday party. I'm probably not coming.
The new Thor movie?
No. Friday,
So,
Saturday.
I want to speak to this real quick because TV just said something that I thought was pretty. Going back to the caretaker, the role. TV just shared that his sister is sick and he's stepping back into the caretaking role. So, just real quick, you guys, when it comes to being a caretaker, you just have to know. And I know TB, you're aware, and you might not be aware. And I hope that over this live and other lives is that you still have to take care of you. You won't be any good for your sister if you don't take care of you, TB. I understand sacrifice. I understand all of those things, and I respect the role that you're taking on with your sister. But I do want you to make sure that you won't be able to be the best caretaker you can be without taking care of you as well. So, and you're now going into a back-to-back situation. So, if there is support, use it. If there's nurses or there's situations that allow you to step out, take advantage of those days. Don't feel guilt about, taking care of you or having to go to the gym or go for a drive or whatnot. If there's support, make sure you use the support.
And ask for help if you need it.
Ooh,
how many times people have said to me, "You didn't tell me you needed it." And I was like, "Okay, well, this is it. This is what I need."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as patients, we're guilty of that. As patients, we're guilty of that. I say that on a lot of our shows. We get resentful because so-and-so didn't show up for us, or nobody checked in on us, or how come they didn't think to bring a meal to my... Well, here's the harsh reality. People will say to us, and I know you've heard this a million times, let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, let me know when you need anything.
People like me, and this is a bad thing, but people like me, we're not going to ask for help, like ever, never, ever, never. So just realize there's a need and handle it. If you really want to help, just show up with a case of water. Show up, and I had a friend who just showed up one day, and he drove by my little house, and he saw that my grass was overgrown. And I used to love to go outside and cut my grass. I did all the things. I used to wash my own car. Like, it's therapeutic for me to wash a car. I couldn't do anything when I was in chemo. I could barely stand up. And so my friend Chris showed up in a Nissan Sentra with a lawnmower in the trunk and just cut my lawn. I was like, you get a medal. You get a medal. My friend Vern showed up. He worked for the railroad, and he had like this literally truckload of bottled water. And it was like little bottles, like this big versus like the big one. So I was so weak I could hold the little bottle. He just brought them and set them on my step and texted me and said, "There's water on your porch. Have the girls bring it in." I was like, "No, fool, you bring it in. I'm up." But I mean, these guys just showed up for me. And this is what you need to do, because patients are not going to reach out to you. And let me just say to the patients, say what you need, because you can't get mad at anybody if you don't tell them, "I need your help." And trust me, that's hard for me, but I would say it now.
And it's funny being on the side of needing. When my father passed away, you learn some new things about when it comes to death. You learn things about the process and things like that. I remember it being hard when people came to me and said, "Hey, if you need anything, give me a call." And I just thought, I would never. I'm showing up with something. I couldn't process the idea of, "Hey, so you said if I need anything, call."
Right.
I'm in the toughest time of my life. I'm calling you to
that.
tell you
I can
what
barely
I
brush my
need.
teeth
I
right
could
now.
never.
I'm really not going to call you. Yeah.
Right. And so I
don't even answer the phone, let alone call
right now.
Right.
I'm kind of getting attitude right now.
Right. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting, and or the other thing is people asking me, "Are you okay?" Well,
Really.
So
but how do
that
we?
was
But
the other
listen,
thing.
society has conditioned us to just, "Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm okay." Right.
Right.
Because we
Well,
want
no,
to
I looked at him
automatically.
straight like, go ahead.
Not so bad. Well, I was just going to say, like, I know for me, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay." Because we talked about this at our social Saturdays. We automatically default as women, I know in particular, we try to keep everybody else around us calm,
smooth it all out.
We set the tone. We've been ingrained with that shit, right? Fuck that. Say how you're feeling. We're gonna be banned. Damn it, I'm gonna get banned on my first line.
But I say all that to say is that it was for me to know what to do the next time for somebody else. So as I say it as something that angered me, I just know now when I'm dealing with somebody from that space or in that space, that it's not for me to ask you, how you doing? I know how you're doing. You lost a parent or you lost a loved one. Or I know you need something, whether it's water, it's a couple of bucks, it's a lunch. I know you need something. So I'm going to come to the table with something versus ask you what you need.
Right.
But again,
I think that's perfectly said.
Yeah.
I think that's
you learn from the experiences.
We do learn from the experiences. It's something that we talk about. I'm gonna, I never do this, but I just see my book over there for a second, and Chris is like, you never plug your book. So at the Care Project, myself, Margaret Lesh, who's a 2-time survivor, and 10 other survivors contributed to this book. It's called Handle with Care, or Your Breast Cancer Support Group in a Book. It's really relative to any type of cancer. And what it is the perspective of 12 different survivors, including a male, including somebody who is religious, somebody who believes only in science, all different walks of life. And you can flip to whatever phase of cancer you're in. If it's chemo, if it's surgery, whatever, radiation, talking to your kids, what not to say. That's my favorite chapter. What not to say.
That's pretty much our whole podcast.
That's pretty much our whole. We probably should rename it to that. What not to say.
Cancer and beyond.
Yeah, just stay positive. We don't like that shit. Don't tell us that. We're already trying to. But that book is really a great resource for anybody, not only who's recently diagnosed or in treatment, but actually my aunt who bought 10 copies after she read it was like, this is so great for anyone who has a friend, a loved one, a coworker going through, because it allows them as an outsider to see and hear how the patient feels so that they can respond appropriately, whether it be showing up for help or whether it be not saying the wrong thing, like just stay positive, or at least with breast cancer, you can live without a breast. Okay, that doesn't make it any easier. That's the next episode. We really should wrap this up. We've been on here for a long time, Milton. I appreciate you showing up, and I know you've had a full day of work. Michelle, I'm sorry.
I had a full day of having fun.
I'm sorry that you weren't able to have chemo today, but I'm so glad that you were able to be here and record live. Thank you to everybody that joined us. I haven't seen it. I don't know how many people have been in here. Is there any pressing question, Michelle, you think?
No, there really hasn't been. I mean, just a lot of support and
awesome,
and support for Barry. So keep
sharing. TB, call him TB.
Oh, okay.
TB.
Yeah. We love TB. Go follow Milton at Talkspace Official. There's some imposter out there. Chris, did I tell you that?
What?
Somebody took his picture, recreated a Talkspace 2. I saw it one day online.
I mean,
he's
made it, right?
That's what I told him.
That's what everybody keeps saying. I disagree with that.
I opened TikTok and I see this like friend request. I don't know what. Maybe it's not friend request. Yeah, something like that, like a follower. A Talkspace 2, and I thought, oh, this fool is really full of himself. He went and created a backup account because I know other TikTokers like Hospice Nurse Julie and others that have a ton of followers. Like she's pushing 900,000.
Better a fake account about him than another Kardashian one.
Right. So I text him. I'm like, oh my God, did you create a second account? He's like, hell no. I'm like, you need to get on TikTok immediately and say something, because this other person even tried to talk to me. Like, hello, how are you today? I was like, oh, that ain't Milton.
Yeah, don't click on anything because they're just trying to steal your stuff.
That is not Milton. No.
Somebody asked right now where to get the book.
So go to thecareprojectinc.org. Is it on my site too?
CarrieMadrid.com.
CarrieMadrid.com. If you're
on
on TikTok,
too.
Go to my link in my bio.
Yeah,
my link in my bio has everything from my personal website to the Care Project, which is my nonprofit. You can get the book. You can find the podcast. If you listen to some episodes, do us a favor and leave us a review or a rating so my producer over there feels good about the work he does.
Yo.
And if you want to start a podcast, call Chris.
That's me.
thisisfunner.com. And
me
thank
crazy.
you. Wait, let me finish. Thank you to Cozy Earth for my jammies. I'm gonna try to get Milton some.
Plug.
I'm gonna try to get
This is
Milton
the plug.
some.
Cozy Earth, we all need
No,
them
really,
here.
they
Yeah,
sponsored.
the sweats look dope.
They sponsored this episode.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need me
Handle
some
with
all
Care.
black joints. I think they're
They
all
have
black.
some. So there's a 40% off discount. These have been on Oprah's favorite things for 4 times.
She probably has a closet with just a
my
bunch
God.
of them
Are
in
there
it.
pink ones here? 'Cause, you know.
I don't do pink. There is pink, actually. My daughter has the ivory. There's a short set. These are long pajamas. My daughter has a short set that are ivory. But there's socks. There's bedding. I want the bedding.
I want one of the sweatshirts.
I want
like
the bedding.
a giant sweatshirt you can just pull over.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. They have joggers. They have hoodies. So, yeah, check it out. There's a link for 40% off in my bio. And 5% commission comes back to the Care Project, not me. So,
Nice.
not a lot,
Okay.
but it's something. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm toast. I'm done.
Thank you.
I've had wine. I gotta go. This was fun. I can't see it.
This was good. I appreciate this. This was awesome.
Let's do it
I had
again.
a fun time.
Yeah. So you guys send me a message if you want us to do it again. We will. No abrupt ending, Chris. Chris is over here.
We have to say goodbye, Chris.
Wait. TB, if you're there, and Lonnie, I saw Lonnie join.
TB is still there.
Lonnie's gonna come on the show next. TB, I'm giving you a proper goodbye. Because
you know what? Don't even. My duty calls.
My duty calls. I got to drive home before it starts.
Take care.
All right, guys. Take care. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. Please let us know what you think of the show by leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to share it with a friend. For more information or to connect with Carrie, go to thecareprojectinc.org.